Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive straight into the absolute chaos that unfolded at Jantar Mantar on July 25th, 2026. Picture this. You've got this massive sea of satellite dishes, broadcast fans from literally every major news channel, and thousands of students all packed together for an unprecedented political earthquake. The air is thick with anticipation, and the internet connectivity completely jammed. It was the climax of a nationwide story that started with a simple exam paper leak, but ended up shaking the very foundations of the Indian political establishment. Now, you might be wondering how a group calling themselves the Cockroaches actually managed to topple a union minister. The sheer irony of the situation is just staggering. I mean, we're talking about a completely youth-led movement, flying under a really unconventional banner, achieving something that seasoned opposition parties usually struggle to pull off. They forced the resignation of a high-ranking cabinet minister in a government that is famously known for rarely yielding to public pressure. To put that into perspective, that number represents 36 grueling days of relentless protests. These students literally brought the national capital to a standstill. They stood their ground through blistering heat, heavy monsoon showers, and even reports of police lathi charges and stone pelting. They absolutely refused to back down until their core demand was met. Section 1, the resignation shockwave. So we're jumping right in on a really tense Saturday afternoon, with crowds literally pushing against police barricades and the rapid action force on standby. The sudden news breaks. Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan is stepping down. That announcement sent absolute shockwaves through the country. Now, in his resignation letter, Pradhan didn't exactly go out quietly. He defended his record, pointing out that his ministry had taken immediate action, handing the probe to the CBI and shifting future exams to a computer-based format. And while he cited a desire to prevent anti-national forces from taking advantage of the protests, let's be real, the resignation clearly signaled that the immense, unyielding pressure from the streets had finally boiled over. The government simply had to release the pressure valve. Section 2, Rise of the Cockroaches. Okay, so to really grasp how this historic resignation happened, we gotta look at how this Gen Z collective actually operated. The Cockroach Junta Party, or CJP, didn't start out in some traditional political headquarters. It began entirely online. They weaponized digital irony, internet meme culture, and a really deep-seated frustration over the May 3rd NEET UG medical exam paper leaks. And then they did something incredible. They took all that online energy and translated it into highly disciplined real-world mobilization. And this right here is absolutely crucial because it captures the massive disconnect that defined those 36 days. On one side, you have the government offering administrative fixes, right? A CBI probe, setting up fast-track courts for speedy trials, and tweaking the exam format for the next year. But the students, they absolutely refused to budge. They weren't just looking for systemic tweaks. They were demanding ultimate political accountability right at the very top. The sheer whiplash of their victory was captured perfectly in this triumphant yet kinda deeply ironic social media update from the CJP. Literally 4 words posted just minutes after Pradhan's resignation was announced. It totally encapsulates the surreal nature of a satirical internet page bringing a powerful political figure to a complete halt. Section 3, the parliamentary deadlock. But here's the thing. The students weren't fighting this battle in a vacuum. While they occupied the streets, a high-stakes political chess match was unfolding inside Parliament. Following that initial leak in May and the super controversial results in mid-July, the grassroots protests basically handed the opposition, India Bloc, the exact ammunition they needed. On July 23rd, they completely halted the monsoon session, demanding an immediate discussion. And they absolutely refused to compromise. Despite Prime Minister Modi announcing fast-track courts and Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla explicitly offering debate time to the opposition under literally whatever rule they wanted, the opposition held a unified, non-negotiable blockade. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge made it crystal clear. The resignation was a strict precondition before any debate could even begin. What we essentially have here is a textbook, highly effective pincer movement. Think about it. This dual-track pressure, relentless youth protests outside, combined with a totally paralyzed legislative session inside, left the government with almost zero room to maneuver. It really proves that a coordinated inside-outside political strategy remains one of the most potent forces in democracy. Section 4, negotiating a resolution. Right, so with Parliament completely jammed up, all the focus shifted over to the Constitution Club of India. And this meeting was huge because it marked the absolute legitimization of the movement. You had senior union ministers, J.P. Nadda and Jatinder Singh, formally sitting down across the table from CJP spokespersons like Sarvdals and Ashutosh Ranka. The state was literally forced to recognize these young, satirical leaders as legitimate political negotiators. They brokered a deal where the government promised to withdraw police FIRs against the students, and in return, the CJP officially called off the 36-day protest in good faith. But, Gen Z didn't just pack up their tents and quietly go home. Even though their main demand was met, the CJP intelligently updated their roster and kept the rest of their demands public. They made sure everyone knew that the 1 crore rupee compensation for families of suicide victims, the written confirmation of those FIR withdrawals, and their 5-point exam reform charter were all still pending. Honestly, it was a brilliantly effective negotiation tactic, making sure they didn't lose all their leverage before clearing out. Section 5. Gen Z's New Playbook. So why does all of this actually matter for the future of Indian politics? Well, this observation by Gitanjali Engmo really hits the nail on the head. It was this uniquely modern mix of internet meme culture, strict nonviolence, and just unwavering persistence. They completely outmaneuvered the traditional political machinery, and they did it without resorting to the destructive riots we sometimes see in other global protests. They showed incredible maturity, combining digital savvy with that old-school boots-on-the-ground endurance. As the broadcast fans finally pack up and the CJP organizes their peaceful evening candle march across the country, we're left with a massive question. Has this rare, totally youth-driven victory fundamentally rewritten the rules of civic engagement in India? Have these organizers basically handed the next generation a brand new blueprint for holding power accountable? We'll definitely have to keep an eye on how these young leaders shape the political landscape next. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and keep questioning what's possible.